Chris and Logan were a cute couple from high school. They really loved each other a lot and had a great relationship. Each harbored distinct aspirations. Chris aimed to pursue a career as an interior designer, while Logan aspired to become an architect. Chris dreamed of studying interior design at his ideal school in France and hoped to go there with Logan. Unfortunately, Logan's parents can't afford to send him to another country for studies. He might not even be able to go to university. Chris, being the only child of a well-off family, was ready to cover all of Logan's expenses. However, Logan, disliking the idea of relying on others, refused the offer. He didn't want it to seem like he was with Chris for his wealth. Chris would jokingly say he wouldn't go if Logan didn't. But Logan, knowing Chris well, understood it wasn't just a joke. He wasn't willing to let Chris abandon his dream because of him. One day, without Chris's knowledge, Chris's mom met Logan in secret. She suggested that Logan break up with Chris, as she felt Logan wasn't a good match for her son. Logan politely declined, stating that he wouldn't break up with Chris because he genuinely loves him. Chris's mom presented a check to Logan, urging him to write any amount and keep the money if he agreed to break up with Chris. Despite the tempting offer, Logan firmly refused, emphasizing his love for Chris. Chris's mom then played her last card, informing Logan that if he didn't break up with Chris, she would prevent Chris from going to France and pursuing his dream of studying interior design. Aware of Chris's deep desire, she believed that if Logan truly loved Chris, he would comply with her request. When Logan questioned why Chris's mom would do such a thing to her own son, she insisted that she only wanted what was best for him. Logan simply stared at her before politely excusing himself and leaving. Upon reaching home, tears streaming down his face, Logan decided to send Chris a breakup text. Wanting what was best for Chris and not wanting to hinder his dreams, it was a difficult choice. Chris, reacting instantly upon seeing the message, rushed to Logan's house to have a face-to-face conversation. Upon arriving, Chris confronted Logan, questioning the meaning behind the breakup text. Despite wanting to cry, Logan suppressed his tears and maintained a stoic expression, telling Chris, "You read that text, right? I'm breaking up with you." Chris, a mix of anger, sadness, and confusion, asked why. Logan coldly replied, "I'm tired of you, and I don't love you anymore. Plus, I took money from your mom to stay away from you, as a bonus." Chris, refusing to believe it, argued that he knew Logan well enough to know he would never do such a thing. Logan, maintaining his indifferent demeanor, stated, "Believe it or not, I don't care. If you have nothing else to say, then I'm leaving." As Logan prepared to leave, Chris, eyes red and tears streaming down his cheeks, uttered, "If you leave now, you and I will really be over." Logan hesitated briefly, but replied with a nonchalant whatever before departing. Chris stood there in disbelief, grappling with the reality of what had just happened. In his room, Logan found himself crying profusely. Despite the urge to return to Chris and take back his words, he restrained himself. Thoughts raced through his mind, the realization that they belonged to different worlds. Chris from a wealthy, influential family, and he from a less affluent background. Perhaps, he pondered, Chris's mom was right about them not fitting together. A few weeks later, Logan learned that Chris had been admitted to his dream school and was relocating to France. Chris hadn't reached out since the day of their breakup. Logan decided to go to the airport to see Chris off, observing from a distance. Mixed emotions lingered within him, unsure whether to harbor regret for his actions, but deep down, he believed it was for the best. To pursue university, Logan took on multiple jobs as his parents couldn't afford his fees. Working tirelessly, he saved money to cover his education and living expenses. Each day, he deeply missed Chris, often finding himself in tears while looking at pictures of them every night. 6 years later, Logan found himself in his third year of university. Despite being a student, he continued working 2 jobs to support himself, balancing the demands of both work and study. The relentless schedule left him with little time to rest. However, the unwavering dream of becoming an architect served as his constant motivation. His third year, Logan found himself studying interior designing as part of his course. Reflecting on Chris, he imagined that Chris might have graduated and made strides in his career. As he waited for the lecturer to enter the class, Chris walked in and introduced himself as their instructor for the course, surprising Logan. Whispers filled the room as everyone noticed Chris's entrance, acknowledging his striking appearance. Logan, equally taken aback, felt his heart racing. Chris cast a mischievous smirk at Logan, and throughout the class, he posed numerous questions to him. However, Logan, displaying his intelligence, managed to answer each query correctly. After class, when the room had emptied, Logan approached Chris nervously asking, "It's been a while, how have you been?" With a tentative smile. Chris, without uttering a word, glanced him up and down before walking away, leaving Logan heartbroken once more. Reflecting on his past actions, Logan thought he deserved the cold response for what he had done to Chris. In the following days, Chris continued directing questions at Logan in class, seemingly oblivious to the presence of others. Yet, after class, Chris maintained his silence and ignored Logan. Chris noticed Logan consistently having simple meals of bread and a small box of juice while reading at the cafeteria. He just watched him and ignored all the time. Even if he wanted to buy proper meal for Logan, he wouldn't accept. One evening, when Chris ordered food, he was taken aback to find Logan delivering his order. He invited Logan inside, but Logan declined, explaining that he was still on duty and had to leave. Chris asked when his shift ends. Logan, looking slightly puzzled, hurriedly left after sharing the information. The following day, Chris strategically ordered food at the end of Logan's shift and requested Logan as the delivery person. Minutes later, the doorbell rang, revealing Logan with the ordered food. Chris, taking the food, remarked, "You're off work now, so you can come in, right?" Logan nervously nodded, and Chris, holding Logan's hand, ushered him into his house. Logan felt butterflies in his stomach at Chris's gentle touch. Despite 6 years of separation, his love for Chris remained the same. Chris served the food on a plate and invited Logan to join him for a meal. Initially hesitant, Logan saw this as an opportunity to be close to Chris, so he accepted the offer. While eating in silence, Chris abruptly asked, "Why are you working, and now in your 3rd year? What happened to the huge sum of money you took from my mom? Did you spend it all already?" Logan, caught off guard, stared at Chris with a sorrowful expression, unsure of how to respond. As Logan tried to leave, Chris softly grasped his hand, stopping him from leaving and sitting him back down. Chris then said, "It's okay if you don't want to answer. I was just curious." Confused, Logan questioned Chris's change in behavior, asking why he was now talking to him despite ignoring him before. Chris retorted, "Don't get it twisted. I've just been feeling lonely eating alone at home all the time, and I need an eating buddy. I want you to be my eating buddy, if you agree. We don't need to pretend to be strangers, even though we've been through a breakup." The mention of the phrase breakup pierced Logan's heart. Acknowledging that they didn't need to act like strangers, Logan agreed to be Chris's eating buddy. However, Chris clarified, "You don't have to act like we're friends at school though. You're my student, and I have to maintain a professional relationship." Logan nodded in agreement. In the following days, Logan shared nightly meals with Chris after his shift. To Logan's surprise, Chris was exceptionally sweet to him and behaved as if they hadn't been separated for years. While maintaining a distant demeanor at school, Chris exhibited warmth and familiarity at home, making Logan's heart flutter and making him smile when they are together. One night, while eating and chatting with Chris, Logan accidentally drifted off to sleep on Chris's shoulder. In his half-asleep state, he felt a cold kiss on his lips, but he thought he was dreaming. Waking up the next morning in Chris's room, Logan panicked, realizing he was late for class. However, he found a note near the bed that read, "You don't have to worry. I already took a leave for you at school and your workplace. Rest more. You need it. I made breakfast for you, and there's food in the fridge when you feel hungry. See you at home." Reading the note, Logan initially relaxed, but the "see you at home" part stirred a blush, as it felt like they were a couple living together. Yet, reality quickly struck, reminding Logan of their past breakup and the potential lingering resentment from Chris. Logan didn't go home and waited for Chris to return. Upon Chris's return home and seeing Logan, the first thing he did was gently press his forehead against Logan's, holding his face and bringing their faces close. Logan's heart skipped a beat. Chris then pulled back and said, "You're okay now. You had a fever last night, but it seems you're doing fine now." Despite not recalling having a fever, Logan thanked Chris for taking care of him. Chris advised him not to stress too much and to rest to avoid getting sick again. Logan shyly nodded, his mind still occupied by the recent closeness of their faces, just moments ago. Chris then asked if Logan wanted to spend the night at his house again. Caught off guard, Logan choked on his saliva, coughed, and quickly responded with a nervous no before grabbing his bag and making a hasty exit. Chris smiled, amused by Logan's adorable reaction. In class, Chris assigned everyone project works, and during the presentation, he accepted everyone's but rejected Logan's. Chris instructed him to redo it, giving him only 2 chances, without specifying what needed improvement. Logan, puzzled and having invested much time and energy, found it challenging to understand what went wrong. Logan complied and redid the project once more, only for Chris to request another redo, emphasizing that he had 1 chance left. Putting in extra effort, Logan carefully revised it again, and this time Chris accepted it. Logan couldn't shake the feeling that Chris's persistent demands were a reflection of lingering resentment. During their customary meet and eat, Logan asked Chris, "Do you still hate me for what I did?" Chris responded, "Why would I hate you?" Logan pressed further, saying, "I took money from your mom and broke up with you all of a sudden, so you must hate me." Chris calmly replied, "I have never hated you. I know you didn't take money from my mom. And I understand you broke up with me because my mom pressured you, threatening not to send me to France if you didn't comply." Logan, with a surprised expression, asked, "You knew?" Chris responded, "Yeah, my mom saw me crying that day and asked what was wrong. Told her about our breakup, and she confessed to what she did. She apologized, saying she didn't mean to, and that she only wanted to try something she had seen in the dramas she had been watching to tease you. She didn't expect you to actually break up with me." Chris continued, "My mom even wanted to meet you, explained that she didn't mean what she said, and offer an apology, but I stopped her." Logan, taken aback, asked Chris why he hadn't contacted him when he knew that Logan didn't take money from his mom and hadn't intended to break up with him. Chris explained, "I wanted to, but I was afraid that if I saw you or contacted you again, I wouldn't want to leave, and you wouldn't like that. Additionally, I didn't want us to drift apart while having a long-distance relationship. The different time zones and busy schedules could slowly pull us apart. I believed that being away and not contacting each other would make us crave and miss each other more. I'm sorry for leaving and not contacting you all these years. I realized I didn't really think things through." Logan questioned Chris about his initially cold behavior upon his return. Chris admitted that he was merely teasing Logan, but he acknowledged being hurt by Logan's words during the breakup, particularly when Logan mentioned not loving him anymore. Chris confessed that he truly missed Logan, revealing that he often restrained himself from hugging and kissing him every time they were close. Logan also apologized for his hurtful words and impulsive actions. He also expressed how much he missed Chris, admitting to crying every night thinking about him. Chris responded, "Aw, your pretty eyes must have hurt," and gently kissed both of Logan's eyes. Chris asked Logan if he got hurt anywhere while he was away. Logan, with a dramatic, sad face, replied, "Yes, some kids threw stones, and it hit my forehead." Chris gently kissed Logan's forehead and inquired, "Anywhere else?" Logan continued, "I accidentally touched a hot pot, and it burnt my hand." Chris smiled, kissing both of Logan's palms, and asked again, "Anywhere else?" Logan said, "I was shaving and accidentally cut my cheek." Chris giggled, teasingly mentioning the absence of beard signs, then kissed both of Logan's cheeks. Logan playfully punched Chris's shoulder. Chris, with a grin, asked, "Didn't anything hurt your lips?" Logan dramatically replied, "Oh, I remember, my lips got stung by a bee." It hurt so bad. Chris gently caressed Logan's lips with his thumb and then kissed it. They both stared into each other's eyes, then engaged in a passionate kiss. Despite years of separation and their hunger for each other, it remained gentle and intimate. Logan returned to school the next week, only to find a new instructor in his interior designing class. Chris was no longer the teacher. After school, Logan visited Chris's house and learned that Chris had quit. When asked why, Chris revealed that he didn't want the job in the first place. He had only agreed because he found out Logan would be in his class. Logan inquired about Chris's future plans, and Chris revealed that he already had his own interior designing company, which he started after returning from France. Surprised, Logan admitted he didn't know about it. Chris shared that he had left the position of co-CEO for Logan, insisting that he wouldn't allow Logan to refuse. Logan then said, "But your company is an interior designing company and I'm going to be an architect." Chris replied, "I know, but architecture and interior designing goes together, so if you join the company we will offer both services." Chris asked if Logan accepted the proposal, to which Logan playfully replied that he would think about it. Chris mentioned, "Oh, I just remembered, my mom wants to meet you." Logan, with a surprised expression, asked, "Why?" Chris speculated that perhaps his mom wanted to apologize to Logan. The day they went to meet Chris's mom, she opened her arms and embraced Logan the moment he stepped into the house. Tearfully, she expressed, "I'm so sorry for that day. I only wanted to try some stupid thing I saw on TV, and it caused you to separate. I'm so sorry. I even stopped watching those shows since that day." Logan politely reassured Chris's mom that there was nothing to apologize for, emphasizing that it wasn't her fault. Chris's mom expressed her joy that they were together now. Logan, with a playful grin, teased Chris by saying, "We are not together yet." Chris, surprised, exclaimed, "What do you mean by we are not together yet?" Logan responded, "You haven't asked me to be your boyfriend again, so we are still not together yet." In response to Chris saying that Logan could also ask him to be his boyfriend again, Logan playfully retorted, "I can, but I want you to ask me." Logan was then backed by Chris's mom. Chris then yelled, "Will you be my boyfriend?" Logan teasingly replied, "That doesn't sound sincere at all." He then laughed with Chris's mom. Years passed, and Logan finally graduated, achieving his dream of becoming a professional architect. As Chris wished, Logan joined his company as a co-CEO. They spent the rest of their days making up for lost time, expressing the "I love yous" they missed, and sharing the kisses they craved. Together, they designed their perfect future home.